Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh, and very good day to all my beloved students. So the second stage in organizational development process called developing the practitioner-client relationships. In this stage, students always confuse about the term of client. Some of students perceive client term here refer to the real client of the organization, which is not. Then we will look into what is actually the meaning of client in this topic. We have two learning objectives to be fulfilled. First is identify the OD practitioner, where the OD practitioner is the main actor in this process. Either they are organizational development practitioner within the organization or an external organizational development practitioner hired by the organization. The second learning objective in this stage is to recognize the client in the organizational development process, where students always get confused with the definitions or the understanding on the term of clients. So let's look at the explanations within the second stage of organizational development process. My dear students, the following step of the organizational development is developing the practitioner-client relationships. Clients can be defined as the members of an organization who can gain direct impact on the change concerns. In contrast, the practitioner is the person who has the expertise and experience to work with members in handling the problems that occur in the organizations. So, the practitioner should collect enough accurate information about the organization before clarifying the issues. The practitioners or the OD practitioners should understand its role effectively in order to eliminate the issues. Therefore, the relationship needs to be enhanced for a more significant opportunity to lead the success of the organizational development program. On the other hand, or in another word, after the organization has anticipated the need for change, the organization representative will start to search for a suitable organizational development practitioner in handling the problem. The organization can either choose the practitioner internally or externally by hiring the professional outside the organization. When they have selected their practitioner, a practitioner-client relationship will be developed. So in this stage, the OD practitioner will enter the system and try to establish trust and open communication with their clients. Hence, a good first impression is important to enhance the future collaboration between the two parties as a trust from both parties. As a trust from both parties is imperative to determine whether an action change will be successful. To achieve this, a few requirements needed to be fulfilled, namely the healthy relationship between the client and practitioner, and the practitioner is important for mutual expectation and the ground rules. A healthy relationship between the client and the practitioner is important in the change process. In this stage, the client is insecure and vulnerable as no one wants to admit that their organization is having a problem and allows someone to access to confidential information in the change process, especially when dealing with external practitioner. Hence, the practitioner must be aware of these emotions and be skillful when working with their clients, especially during the first meeting. The practitioner must be able to show that they had equipped with the knowledge that's required to solve the problem, and they themselves is the best person in solving the issue. Here, it explains why it is so important to give a good first impression to the clients, as it will not only make the clients feel comfortable to work with them, but also help in building a healthy relationship. With a healthy relationship between the two parties, the client is more willing to share the information with the practitioner and trust them, while the practitioner will be motivated and be more engaged in the change process and therefore increase the likelihood of success. Besides, both parties also need to have mutual expectation on how the problem will be handled and what is the expected outcome. In the end, to make sure that they are working toward the same goal. In achieving the mutual goal, different negotiations and discussion will be carried out to make sure that both parties are expecting the same outcome. Besides, they both also need to consent to certain ground rules before they are going to carry out the change. The ground rules can be the way to access information, the process of termination, paid, and so on. This step is important in reducing the unnecessary conflict in the change process and making sure everything will go smoothly. So that will be the end of this lesson. So let's look what are the activity and assessment that the student need to do in this lesson. As for the learning objective 1, where to identify the audit practitioner, students have to do one learning activity, which is consider yourself as external practitioner. Prepare a list of acts you will do when you are engaged by the organization for organizational development process. And as for the assessment for learning objective 1, students have to list and explain the 2 types of organizational development practitioner. That's not the end yet. So as for the learning objective 2, which is recognize the client in the organizational development process, the activity that the student needs to do is, first, as an external organizational development practitioner, develop a plan on how to communicate to the client of the organization in your first meeting, right? And as for the activity, what the student needs to do is, you have to answer this question, which is, how do you consult your client to accept the organizational development process? So, see you again. Bye-bye.